I'm Burton Klein, here on CCP TV, the educational channel of Community College of Philadelphia. And today, to the wonderful viewers, I'm going to discuss a subject that should be entitled, Why That Other Person Got the Job. But if I may, I'm going to vary from that a little bit. We're going to use the word job in a global, generic sense. Why anyone got any position for which they applied, not just a job. Also, one might ask, well, what qualifies me to talk about people getting a job or getting a position? If one were to check my insignificant background, one would find that indeed I dealt with people trying to get a job. Folks, there's a famous person in the world named Hugh Gallagher. And Hugh Gallagher became famous because he left a community college in the New York area. The community college was not as great and not ranked as highly as the wonderful Community College of Philadelphia. But he wanted to get into a college. And that college said, you have to tell us what makes you unique, Hugh Gallagher. And Hugh Gallagher wrote this. If I may, allow me to read. What makes me unique? And this was an application, ladies and gentlemen, to New York University. Hugh Gallagher wrote, I'm a dynamic figure, often seen scaling walls and crushing ice. I have been known to remodel train stations on my lunch breaks, making them more efficient in the area of heat retention. I translate ethnic slurs to Cuban refugees. I write award-winning operas. I manage time efficiently. Occasionally, I tread water for 3 days in a row. He continued, using only a hoe and a large glass of water, I once single-handedly defended a small village in the Amazon basin from a horde of ferocious army ants. I played blue-glass cello. I was scouted by the New York Mets. I'm the subject of numerous documentaries. When I'm bored, I build large suspension bridges in my yard. And I enjoy hang gliding. On Wednesdays, after school, I repair electrical appliances free of charge. I'm an abstract artist, a concrete analyst, and a ruthless bookie. Critics worldwide swoon over my original line of corduroy evening wear. I don't perspire. I'm a private citizen, yet I receive fan mail. I've been caller number 9 and have won the weekend passes. Last summer, I toured New Jersey with a traveling centrifugal force demonstration. I bat 400. My deft floral arrangements have earned me fame in international botany circles. Children trust me. I balance, I weave, I dodge, I frolic, and my bills are all paid. On weekends, to let off steam, I participate in full contact origami. Years ago, I discovered the meaning of life, but doggone it, I forgot to write it down. I have made extraordinary 4-course meals using only a moule and a toaster oven. I breed prize-winning clams. I've gone to community college, but I have not yet gone to college, and I don't yet have a job. Hugh Gallagher. And if one were to Google Hugh Gallagher on the computer, one would find this item from which I read. But wait a minute, folks. This is not only how to get a job, it's how to get any position. Let us say that you go to the wonderful Community College of Philadelphia, and the college to which you apply wants you to send in an essay similar to Hugh Gallagher's, but not the same subject. Some of the subjects that colleges have asked for in the past. I'm reading now. Allow me, please. The University of Chicago asked you to write a television pilot program unique to Chicago. Wait a minute, you've heard nothing yet. The University of Pennsylvania, when students are writing an essay to get the job, to get into the school, University of Pennsylvania asked, you've just completed your 300-page autobiography. Submit page 217. Massachusetts Institute of Technology, you won't believe this. Tell us about an opinion that you have had to defend or an incident in your life that placed you in conflict with the beliefs of the majority of people. American University in Washington, D.C. Imagine that you're an editor of a major national news magazine. Write the cover story you would choose for the January 2010 issue. Oh my goodness. Lafayette College, Eastern PA. You've heard of these colleges. Ask and answer the one question you wish we had asked. So you see, these deal with the type of questions that Hugh Gallagher, his was, tell us why you're unique. But I ain't done yet. I ain't done yet. Listen to this. North Carolina State University in Raleigh, North Carolina. Diversity may have different meanings in today's society. Describe what diversity means to you in higher education. And my goodness, Bennington College in Bennington, Vermont, you have to dissect a toad. Oh my goodness. Whether toads can hear or not, you have to determine that while you're dissecting it. Explain your reasons for setting up the experiment you did. Strive for simplicity. My goodness. How can anyone get into another college after they leave the wonderful Community College of Philadelphia? Wonderful viewers, I think you're getting the tone already, that one must not be D-U-H. Duh. So to get the job, and we'll talk about getting the job and the specifics of that shortly, please remember to show all of your wares. Be a little bit, if I may, crazy. Be different. That's how Hugh Gallagher got into NYU. And after you leave the wonderful community college, that's how you too will get that job, the job of going to college. Now let's switch specifically to getting the job. You have to ask people to write a cover letter for you. But one must make sure in doing the cover letter, or in them writing the cover letter, that it's not replete with grammatical errors. It must be perfect. And it too must be different. Here's a cover letter for a young lady who applied to the College of New Jersey in Ewing, New Jersey. She was a lovely Indian student. She was from Mumbai, India, formerly, as you're well aware, Bombay, India. And this is a cover letter that she sought from a relative, and it read something like this, and I shall not read it all. She is the Taj Mahal, and then some. She's the Washington Monument, and much more. She's the sunset at Maui, with more splendor. Miss Dipti Patel, ladies and gentlemen, represents all that every parent prays. She stands for every husband's hope. She personifies every child's dream. Dipti Patel, folks, to use the vernacular, has it. Mrs. Patel's parents gave birth to the Taj Mahal. Dipti's handsome husband has garnered the Washington Monument, and their adorable son, Sammy, has had his dreams fulfilled, and then some, with much more splendor. Take this dynamic young woman under your umbrella, and the rains will cease. You see, Mrs. Patel brings sunshine everywhere. Ask those on top of the Taj and the Washington Monument. Ask those on Maui, even after the sun goes down. So you can see, I think you'll agree, that that letter is different. The writer chose Taj Mahal because the Taj Mahal, of course, is in India. She refers to the fact, the writer, that Dipti Patel is married, and refers to the fact that she has a son, and ties in the Taj Mahal and Washington Monument and Maui in subsequent paragraphs. Not D-U-H. not duh at all. I have in front of me some resumes. And one is a resume of a young lady who applied to teach in the Cheltenham School District. And when she first submitted the resume to me to peruse it, it was on plain white paper, not even a good stock paper. And I said to the young lady, change your paper. Make it a paper with a little bit of a weave in it. Make it a paper with some quality to it. She did that. She then wrote the first thing in the resume, the objective. And she wanted to teach in that school district. So she put down as the objective, I want to teach in the Cheltenham School District, but ladies and gentlemen, that is D-U-H. So I suggested to her, let's do an objective that reads something like this. Excuse me again as I read. Objective. To have every student under my wing learn beyond the basic course requirement. I am bent on accomplishing this. Not I am going to accomplish this, not I want to accomplish this. I am bent on accomplishing this. She put the resume on a different paper with that objective. The resume, when you're applying for a job, ladies and gentlemen, should be 1 page long. Oh, but wait a minute, Burton Klein. I have so many things I've done. 1 page long. So Dawn's the person about whom I am reading wrote that resume and got the job at Cheltenham. This young man's objective. Another person. He was in a class, a writing class in college. It happened to be my writing class called Advanced Writing. And listen to his objective, not D-U-H, objective, when he submitted his novel to the publishing company. Objective, to use this gem of a story like lightning through dry air to start a fire with a spark and to make an impression on readers throughout this immeasurably vast universe. He changed his paper from a plain paper to a lovely bonded paper. His book, his novel, was published 3 years later. I can document all this, but I shall not give the person's names just for protection purposes. A third resume, also 1 page for this third resume. This young lady was also in the novel writing class. Her original objective, just like the first resume I read, my objective to teach students in your school district, this one said, I hope you accept my novel, but not after she became unduh, to coin a phrase. Listen to this objective. To give Harper & Row publishers the opportunity to show the world you can recognize the talent of a college student's first of many literary successes. She was going beyond the first book. Did Harper & Row publish? You're darn right they did. This young lady got a book published. It took 2 years to go through the mainstream and mechanics and all that sort of thing. How they got a job. But now let's really get to specifics about getting a job. I have documentation here. I'm holding it up, and everything I'm going to say now can be documented. Here it is. Every single thing I'm going to say can be documented. Some of it might seem stupid, but this is being different. This is not being D-U-H. Now, of course, there are different venues for having an interview. Sometimes one is called into an office. Just called into an office and you meet with one person. Realize that. Other times, you go before a panel, and that panel sits before you, and you're called into a room. But wonderful viewers, there's a chair there upon which you are supposed to sit. But secrets to getting that job, secrets to getting into a college with a certain essay, one does not sit down at all until one is told to sit. And there's something else you do with that chair. And I hope you don't bite your nails, because there's documentation here which says what I am going to say is a thing. I'm not making it up, even via my past experience in this field. The chair is there. The chair is there, and you purposely put your nails over the back of the chair before you sit, because you don't sit until you're told to be seated. What about your nails? Your nails tell a story. If your nails are well manicured, if your nails are polished, particularly if you're a young lady, if your nails show that you don't, watch me now, the nails tell something about you. And then you sit. But there's something that you must do. You must garner all your forces. You must take everything within that brain of yours to make sure you don't muff this one. Secrets to getting that job. The panel, if there is a panel, will introduce themselves one by one. And here's where you must gather your strength. You must remember Dr. Hargrove, Mrs. Patel, Mr. Johnson, Mrs. Washington. Remember their names, because when you're handling an interview, isn't it wonderful to be able to say, Mrs. Patel, Dr. Hargrove, Mrs. Washington? It will knock their socks off to use the vernacular, remembering their names. And there's going to be some time during the interview when they might say to you, do you have any questions? And you might want to say, well, when will I get the job? Or how long will it take? Or what salary will I make? And you know what you say when they say, do you have any questions? No questions at all. But with a lilt of the head and a little twinkle of the eye, thanks so much for the opportunity of allowing me to ask questions. Now, folks, they're going to ask you questions in that interview, and you might not know the answer to one question, two questions, three questions. If you try to baloney it, I was mild in my language, was I not? They will see right through you. So if you don't know an answer to a question, with that same lilt of the head, and by saying, Mrs. Washington, thank you for that question, Mrs. Patel, Dr. Patel, whatever the names were before. You see, I forgot them already. I would flunk this interview, would I not? But if you don't know an answer to a question, you say something like this that's not D-U-H. Folks, I don't know the answer, but if I could have 5 minutes to run out to a library, I sure will come back with it. It'll make them laugh. It'll show them you have that certain personality, that certain oomph. But wait a minute, wait till you hear the next thing. You might say, is this speaker that I'm watching on community college of Philadelphia television crazy? What he's going to say right now, my goodness, I can't believe it. But you want to get the job, don't you? And somewhere during the course of the interview, you say something like this. Ladies and gentlemen of the panel, at the appropriate time, of course, I would like to work for your company for 1 month at no cost. I want to gain some experience. I want to have the chance to see what makes your wonderful company tick. So even if I'm not hired today, and of course I hope I am, would you give me an opportunity to work for you? Not a dime will it cost you. I'd appreciate it so much. Ladies and gentlemen, there's something else that you must do. The moment you get home that day, don't worry about the shopping list at the market. Don't worry that you have to take the car in for inspection. Don't worry that you have to call Aunt Mabel. Write a thank you note to that panel. But the person with wherewithal that is not DUH will know the address of the place they're sending. A letter of thank you. To use the vernacular again, it will knock their socks off. But something else will, to use this same vernacular, knock their socks off during an interview. If you sit down and there's arms on your chair, and you put your arms on the chair, it looks like you're sort of if I may be gross, in an electric chair. You don't want to do that. You want to fold your hands like this and put them in your lap. You want to cross your legs at the ankle. Yes, you do. A relaxed mode. And now let's get to what one wears to get that job. Respect, of course, to any person who practices a religion of his or her choice. But at no interview, at any time, should one wear a religious article. Never. For many reasons, and I shall not go into those reasons at this time. In the same vein, when we're talking about not wearing a religious item, folks, what you wear clothing-wise, even if you're a youngster going for a job in a supermarket, which might mean packaging or putting things on shelves, to use the term socks off, knock their socks off again. Come in a tie and a jacket, not with dungarees, with slacks. Come in a suit, fine. Also, men and women, never wear the color red. If one were to do research regarding the color red, which is a very beautiful color, it sometimes incites negative feelings among people interviewing someone for a job. May I also suggest, and I mean it most respectfully, young men, when you're dressing with that tie, no red in the tie, rather conservative. And it's best if you wear a dark suit, dark sports jacket, but it need not be that at all. There's something called body movement. It's related again to sitting in the chair, is it not? If you're going to sit there like a robot, which would be normal because you're nervous, you're going for that job, you're going for that interview to get into college after you wrote the letter, what makes me unique? Or how do I dissect a toad? Or whatever it is that I read to you earlier. But if you're going to sit like this, you have to rise up to the occasion and move that body, as you say, Mrs. Patel and Dr. Hargrove. And when you're moving that body, add some hand movement to it. Thank you so much for that question. I don't know the answer, but if you just let me run down to the library for a moment, I'm sure I'll be able to wow you in 5 minutes. So notice the eyes now. Notice the hands. Notice the body movement in the chair. No, I don't have any questions, but thank you for the opportunity to ask a question of you. But there's one other thing that will really, to use this term again ad nauseum, knock their socks off. Wouldn't it be wonderful if you found out the goals and objectives of the company to which you're applying? Wouldn't it be wonderful somewhere in your interview if you quoted, I know that your goal is to provide the services, et cetera, et cetera. It will, can I say it one more time? Knock their socks off. I just did, didn't I? Certainly. Ladies and gentlemen, the goals of a company, you say it to them, they won't believe that you did something like that. You know our team players. You watch the teams in Philadelphia or wherever. Team players. Do you know there are some people in this world, and you've met some, I'm sure, that undercut? Do you know there are some people in this world who go behind their boss's back? But somewhere in that interview, Just when you're saying, I'm willing to work a month for nothing to gain experience and to help you and to put forth your goals, you have to put that you're a team player. You will honor and respect your boss. You will honor and respect your supervisor. Secrets to getting that job. Do you know that there are some people who even have a way of finding out who's on a panel beforehand? Then it's not hard to learn the names. Then you have time to learn the names to refer. You might not know which one's Mrs. Washington or Dr. Patel, the woman, but you will learn, will you not? Let me, if I may, relate to some experience. Someone who already got a job. This is firsthand, wonderful viewers. A teacher is hired by a school district. And a teacher decides, well, I'm not going to wait for the first day of school to learn about the school. That teacher has the wherewithal, the non-duh, to go to the mom and pop store on the corner and learn what's in that store and learn that the students come there and the teachers come there and the mom and pop people will see the principal walking down the street 2 days later before the term starts. Do you know that Mrs. Jones, do you know that she came in here and wanted to know us, etc.? Do you know that this same teacher before the term started goes and puts bulletin boards up in her room? Do you know that that person goes to meet the custodial staff, the wonderful people who keep the building beautiful? Do you know that same custodial staff, and she doesn't do it just for that purpose, she does it because she has this sense to want to do different things to get the job right once she has it. The custodial staff says, Mrs. LaTanya Washington, principal, do you know that Mrs. Jones came to us and met us? She even brought us a hoagie one day. These are things one does to get the job. So I've talked about showing your nails, and I've talked about being a team player, and I've talked about your body movement and your eye contact, and I've talked, ladies and gentlemen, you can get the job because there are people who know to do these things. Perhaps you never knew to do it before. Now you do. Well, folks, that's all the time we have for today. I want to thank you for joining us today on CCP TV, the educational channel of Community College of Philadelphia. I'm Burton Klein. See you next time.